So all Greek nouns fall into three categories. These categories are called declensions: first, second, and third. Every single Greek noun falls into one and only one declension. There is a simple paradigm for deciding what declension a noun falls into. If the stem of the word ends in an alpha or an eta, it is first declension. If it ends in an omicron, it is second declension. If it ends in anything else, particularly consonants, it falls into third declension. See these words and how they fall into their particular declensions, and ignore the red font for now. Now, why does this matter? Well, you know by now that Greek doesn't rely as much on word order as English. Instead, morphological tags are used to identify what a noun is doing in a sentence. Each declension has its own set of tags to indicate the four cases: nominative as the subject, genitive showing possession, dative showing the indirect object, and accusative showing the direct object. Greek nouns not only have case, but they also have gender and number. Number is easy to understand because it is just like English. Cup is singular, cups is plural. Gender is not something English speakers are used to when talking about nouns. Occasionally, we will talk about inanimate objects like boats and cars as she. I know I always think of cats as girls and dogs as boys, but Greek is different. Every single Greek noun has a grammatical gender. There are three genders: masculine, feminine, and neuter. Going back to those morphological tags, those tags will identify a noun's case and its number, and will help us often, but not always, to identify a noun's gender. Let me explain. Let's start first with first declension, i.e. stems that end in an alpha or eta. Here are the morphological tags to indicate case and number. Notice how these are represented. The alpha or eta, which is the last letter on the word stem, combines with the morphological tag to form what I label as the final form. This set is relatively straightforward. Also, please note that the nominative singular form of this word is the lexical form. In other words, if you came across this form, accusative plural, in the New Testament and wanted to read its definition in a lexicon, you would look up the lexical form. I remind you that this is no different than English. When I look up cups in a dictionary, it says plural of cup. If I want to know what it is, I need to look up the singular form of the word. There is a second set of endings for the first declension. Here they are. These are a little trickier, only because of nominative and genitive singular. Other than that, the rest of the paradigm is the same as the first set. If I were to highlight this noun and say, parse that, the tag on the end indicates that it is dative, plural, from the lexical form hemera. What about the gender? This is where declension will sometimes, but not always, help. In this case, almost all first declension nouns that take this first set are feminine. But there are a few first declension nouns that are masculine. The ones that are masculine take this second set of endings. So this one would be parsed as dative, feminine plural from hemera. This one would be parsed as genitive masculine singular from mathetes. Let's go on to second declension, i.e. nouns whose stem ends in an omicron. Again, I remind you that my table shows the end of the stem interacting with the morphological tag to form what I call the final form. Now, second declension also has a second set of tags. Here they are. If you were to compare this second set with the first set right before it, you'll notice that genitive and dative tags are the same. It is the nominative and accusative that are different. Furthermore, you'll see in this table that neuter nouns that take these endings have a nominative and accusative that are identical in both the singular and the plural. So it is the sentence context that helps us decide in the New Testament. Just like first declension, the morphological tags indicate case and number. So the parsing of this word would be nominative plural from logos. What about the gender? Most nouns that take this first set of second declension endings are masculine, with a few feminine here and there. So the full parsing is nominative masculine plural from logos. The second set of endings for second declension are used for neuter nouns. So this one would be dative, neuter, plural from ergon. Let's go on to third declension. i.e. nouns whose stem ends in anything but alpha, eta, and omicron. Most of these stems end in a stop consonant. That is why this table is larger than the previous ones. The endings of these noun word stems have more variety. Most third declension nouns end in a stop consonant. Notice that nominative singular and dative plural both have the sinister sigma in the morphological tag. This will cause changes that you've learned about previously, as shown here, with the sigma interacting with the stop consonant. We also have two sets of endings in this declension, with the second type being for neuter nouns. For third declension nouns, gender is really a mixed bag. For this second set, they are pretty much always neuter. For the previous set though, they can be masculine or feminine. In these neuter endings, we have the same sigma problem in the dative plural. But we also run into an issue in nominative and accusative singular because they add no tag. This is a problem because dentals do not like sitting at the end of a word. If they are on the end of a word and no tag is added, they'll drop off. You'll see an example on the next slide. For this example, it would be parsed as dative plural from sarks. As far as gender goes, this first set can be masculine or feminine. In this case, sarks is feminine. The second set of endings are neuter. In this next example, the parsing would be accusative neuter singular from soma. You have learned about numerous ways consonants interact, particularly the sinister sigma. Again, the sigma in the nominative singular and dative plural in this first set will cause problems. For instance, look at sarks. Remember that the lexical form of a noun is the nominative singular form of the word. But in this case, the stem is actually sark plus sigma. So the lexical form itself actually hides the stem in this case. The genitive shows the stem for us. Let's take a look now at this neuter example. The stem ends in a tau, but dentals don't like to sit at the end of the word, so because there is no tag, the tau drops off. So again, the lexical form soma does not truly show the stem of the word. You need to look to the genitive for the stem. This has been a lot of info. Traditional Greek grammars take 3 to 5 chapters or more to cover all of this. But in this stripped down approach, you don't need to memorize all of this so that you can write out all of these tables from memory, nor do you need to spend hours learning how to parse from memory. Just understand the process of how nouns are formed and why nouns are parsed the way they are. So to recap, all nouns fall into one declension, first, second, or third, depending on what letter ends the stem. Every noun is a single gender. Each declension has its own set of morphological tags that indicate case and number. Every noun has gender, and the declension tags often, but not always, help to identify a noun's gender. The lexical form of every noun is the nominative singular form. Third declension is the trickiest because of consonant interaction with the sigma in the tags. Allow me to toot my own horn for a bit. To become more familiar, and even to get to the point of memorizing all of these tables if you so choose, I recommend tapping into the power of song. Check out the first, second, and third declension songs that are part of my Singing Grammarian product, available through Kriegel Academic as a digital download. You can find me on the web at ntgreekresources.com, which includes my blog and Twitter feed, and of course numerous resources to help you learn Greek, including apps, songs, videos, software training, and more.